Our next bill will be... What's that? Yeah, Jim. Our next one is 5133 by Representative Ruggiero. It's an act of health and safety, refuse disposal, requires certain businesses and educational facilities that produce at least 52 tons of organic waste yearly and are located within 30 miles of an authorized composting facility to use authorized methods of recycling. Representative Ruggiero.
Thank you, Chairman Bennett, members of the committee. Appreciate you hearing this composting bill tonight. This legislation amends the current law on the books that's been with us since 2016. Under our current law, universities, hospitals, and the casinos, because they're pretty large, are able to compost because they have about 2 tons a week of food scraps. This bill reduces that to 1 ton so we can get more in the community to participate, some large restaurants, some who are already composting, and it increases the radius from 15 miles to 30 miles, so again, more can participate in the composting. And the reason why this bill is important, it is part of the food recovery incentive policy, but most important, we have such a finite resource with the landfill right now, and it is scheduled to reach capacity in 10 to 12 years. We have over 1 million tons of waste that goes into the landfill, and 100,000 tons, about 10%, are food waste scraps. So the reason why composting is important, it kind of creates what we call a circular economy. You keep resources in use as long as you possibly can. So you compost your food scraps and you turn it into topsoil, so developers or even DEM can then use that topsoil. There's no need to fertilize, so chemicals aren't rushing away into the watershed. So it's really about sustainability and creating that circular economy. It's not unlike what we did, if you remember, back in 2017, where companies would gather the cooking oil from the restaurants, the old cooking oil, and then that would be refined into a blend of biodiesel, and we have that law on the books now. So that's the whole concept of a circular economy. And again, the capacity of the landfill creating a circular economy, and because there really is a deep connection between the environment, the ocean, and composting. So I've been working with Dave McLaughlin and his team over at Clean Ocean Access, Healthy Soils and Healthy Seas, and I know he's going to speak. You have a letter too from Dave's Marketplace. They do a lot of composting, and so do a number of restaurants. So that's the purpose of this bill, and I thank you for listening to it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Ruggiero. Any questions for Representative Ruggiero? Representative Morgan. Welcome, Patricia Morgan, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Ruggiero, is this only for food scraps? Because there's a lot of organic matter out there. Is it paper, cardboard as well?
Well, they should be recycling that, but this is just for food scraps. That's correct.
Is it clear in here that it is just food scraps? Because I think it just says organic waste.
Right, which is organic materials, not bottles. It's what can go to the composting sites and the anaerobic digester up in Johnston. And that might be a better question for Dave McLaughlin or whomever we have.
But should you define it more specifically to be food scraps?
We could. I mean, if that's what the committee would like to see, I'm certainly amenable. The idea is just to make it more inclusive for people and that people actually do compost so we can reuse, instead of just throwing it into the landfill, make it into topsoil that can be used.
Yeah, no, I'm fully supportive of it, but I know that I got in trouble for thinking things were recyclable that weren't, because I thought because they were organic, they were recyclable, and I talked with our...
Yep, that's a good point, Rep. Morgan. Thank you.
Recycling guru, and she said, oh no. So maybe we should define it better, that's all.
Thank you. Representative Fogarty.
Just adding to that, I hope you can hear me, I'm going to keep my mask on. I know at my work, they consider like napkins and tissue as non-recyclable, and they have us put that in the compost bins. That is an allowable use in those paper containers that break down naturally, is also considered to be a composting item. So, or the forks that are made out of the plantware. So that is considered organic too, so that might classify under it. If you wanted to be more specific, that stuff, those materials are also considered organic.
I know, we compost at our house and with Roadside Revival, and the places that it's taken to, as I said, Johnston, North Smithfield, Charlestown, they do not want the compostable plastic bags, so we have to use the paper bags, unlike in Massachusetts, where you can buy the compostable plastic bags. So it really depends on where the compost is going. And again, we have, 4 sites in Rhode Island. I think there's also a map for you to see. I hope it was presented to you. There's one in Middletown, Rhode Island Nurseries, Earth Care Farm in Charlestown, Orbit Energy in North Smithfield, the American Organics, and of course the anaerobic digester up in the landfill. Thank you.
Any other questions for Representative Ruggiero? Okay, I believe we have somebody online. Vice Chair Phillips?
We have 2 people that have asked to speak in front of the committee. The first one is Kevin Budrus from the Conservation Law Foundation, and he's in favor of this bill. And after that, we're going to have Dave McLaughlin, as Rep. Ruggiero has said, from Clean Ocean Access, and he's also in favor of it. So do we have Mr. Budrus on?
Hi, Kevin. How you doing? It's Representative David Bennett.
Hi, Chair Bennett. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm okay.
Okay. You got the floor.
Great. Thank you so much, Chair Bennett, and thank you, members of the committee. My name is Kevin Budrus. I'm with Conservation Law Foundation, or CLF. CLF supports this bill, House Bill 5133. I've submitted written testimony to the committee. I just wanted to highlight a few notes of support over the phone here with you all. First and foremost, as Rep. Ruggiero mentioned, we have just over a decade until the Central Landfill is full. And about 30% of what we're burying in the landfill is organic waste. Diverting food waste is key to extending the life of the landfill. Moreover, diverting organic waste is also a key part of the strategy when it comes to fighting climate change. When food waste and other organics decompose in an anaerobic landfill environment, they generate methane. And over a 20-year span, methane warms the climate about 80 times as much as carbon dioxide. We cannot meet our climate goals without diverting and composting organic waste to keeping it out of landfills. And we also know from experience that organic waste bans like House Bill 5133 work. Through its food waste ban, Massachusetts has tripled its rate of food waste diversion. Vermont now bans all food scraps from the waste stream, and they've seen huge increases in source-separated food waste collections. What's more, after Vermont implemented its first food waste ban in 2014, the Vermont Food Bank saw a 70% increase in food donations over the course of 2 years. That type of food rescue is sorely needed right now during this ongoing COVID pandemic. Right now, food insecurity is at its highest level in Rhode Island in the last 20 years. This bill can play a small but important part in helping rescue some of the food that would otherwise be going to the landfill, instead divert it to folks who need the food to eat. So for all these reasons, we urge the committee to support House Bill 5133. And thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Kevin? Representative Morgan?
Kevin, what's his last name?
Budrus?
Mr. Buttress. Could you suggest better wording so that it's, wood is organic, and I'm sure we're not thinking that you're going to compost wood. Could you suggest better wording except organic waste? I know you just said food waste, but is there a tighter definition that we could use?
Kevin?
So food waste is, the primary concern here. It's the primary driver of the problem.
Sure.
In some, on some levels, wood is an important part of compost. Wood can be shredded up into smaller bits and included, at a composting facility. With respect to kind of tightening up the language on organic waste, I would be happy to work with Representative to see if there's something that can be done just to alleviate any concerns about what is and is not included in the restriction. I'd be happy to do that.
Great, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Representative.
Yep.
You done? Which one? Representative Fenton Fong, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Bennett. Kevin, I appreciate... All set. Mr. Buccis, thanks so much for your testimony. I have a question, too, and I think it comes back to this whole idea of definitions and whatnot when we're talking about organic waste. Does it get... is medical waste considered organic waste in this definition? And are we tripping anything on that?
Medical waste, I don't think it's organic
Medical
waste.
Medical waste is not included in the applicable definition of organic waste here. Medical waste has its own separate set of definitions under the Rhode Island statutes, and they're given the two separate definitions for organic waste and for medical waste. There's no real
Okay, I wanted to make sure that was...
you're going to be requiring or commingling medical waste.
Okay, excellent. And then, given the reduction that we see from the, 104 to 52, does this end up triggering any impact on, our local schools, local public schools? Are they included? I don't quite get the definition of a covered educational facility. If you could clarify that for me, that'd be wonderful.
So, as far as I know, and I could be mistaken on this, but all schools would fall under the covered educational institution. I don't know if any local schools are generating, 1 ton of organic waste per week. That would be something I'd have to look into to see if this reduction would trigger diversion for those schools. But it's certainly something I'm happy to check out and get back to the committee on.
Yeah, I'm just interested because I hate putting unfunded mandates on people. I just, don't want to blindside. I'd love to have a better definition of what that is. And so we know the impact on our local schools because I'm fully in favor of it. I just want to make sure that we're getting there. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Morgan.
Yeah, just a follow-up question, and this might go to Representative Ruggiero or either of you. I know that municipalities, when they use recyclables, they get a discount on the tipping fee. Would these facilities also get a discount?
I think the person that we really need to bring in is Dave McLaughlin, who's working with the municipalities and the schools, and he's standing by, and I appreciate, Kevin's support of this, but Dave is the one who's really been working on this legislation, so I think he probably could answer a lot of these questions. He's helped me.
He's up next.
Okay.
Representative Carson.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Is this on? Yes. Okay. I just wanted to comment on the possible cost to schools, and Representative Morgan is correct. To capture and manage composted or recycled material, it's cheaper than it is to do traditional trash. So in essence, municipalities would be saving money if they diverted those materials. I have a bill later on in the session that addresses this more fully. So I'm sure we should be incentivizing our school districts to do more of this because they'll be generating less waste and they'll be saving money.
Right.
Thank you, Representative Carson.
And also...
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Next up.
Next up is Dave McLaughlin from Clean Ocean Access.
Hi, Dave. This is Representative, is he not on yet? Thank you. Hi, David. This is Representative David Bennett.
School districts to do more of this because they'll be generating less waste and they'll be saving money. Right?
Thank you, Representative Carson.
And also,
Any other questions?
1 second left.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Dave McLaughlin from Clean Ocean Access.
Hi, Mr. McLaughlin. You there?
I am. Thank you, Chairman Bennett. Can you hear me?
Yes, welcome to the House Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Dave McLaughlin. I'm the Executive Director of Clean Ocean Access, environmental nonprofit based in Middletown, Rhode Island, and wanted to express our support of H5133 and really offer our continued support to the state of Rhode Island to advance environmental policy to position the ocean state as a leader for taking good care of the environment. Happy to let you know that since 2019, a project that we started called Healthy Soils, Healthy Seas, we've helped small to large businesses and hundreds of residents divert almost 900 tons of food scraps from the landfill. This has created new composting facilities, it's grown businesses for the haulers, and really most importantly is people are seeing the connection that their behavior on land impacts the oceans, and we can really take action on land to improve ocean health. I wanted to just take the opportunity to address a couple things about the definition, because I think that was a great topic to come up. The approach we try to take is, when we talk about food scraps, is if it grows, it goes in the compost bin. So we really want to keep the compost amendment organic. So if it grows, it should go to compost. That's the way we look at it. I wanted to also address the fact that from a diversion point of view, diverting recyclables and diverting food waste will lead to that higher recycling rate for all municipalities. So that's absolutely a good thing, and it will be part of it. You know, the importance of composting, certainly it's going to spur that regenerative circular economy that will create jobs in Rhode Island, and it will help the environment both locally and globally. Just to touch upon the global aspect, I think it's important to know that the compost of food scraps helps to really bring about more plant life. And when more plants grow, that helps to sequester carbon from the atmosphere. When it comes out of the atmosphere, that helps to reduce the amount of carbonic acid that goes into the ocean, which is a primary reason for ocean acidification. So it's absolutely true that composting here in Rhode Island will help the ocean. It will help all the oceans. I want to express my agreement with Representative Carson. Certainly, with the current rates of the landfill and likely increases in the years to come for solid waste, the cost of compost is essentially the same, if not a little bit cheaper. And we've seen small to large restaurants get involved and do the right thing, both for their budget as well as for the environment. I also want to express thanks to the Department of Environmental Management for helping to streamline and simplify some of the permitting processes. There's still some work to be done, but this has really helped new business opportunities, and there'll have to be more in the coming years. And lastly, I just want to mention, once the compost is created, a market for the material is key, and that's really a key component of the circular economy. And I just want to say that we've had initial talks with the Department of Transportation about the usage of compost in roadway projects, and likewise working with the private sector for the benefits related to eliminating the need for chemical fertilizers, growing more bountiful foods, and all these efforts will greatly help to reduce pollutants entering our waterways. So much to be done. This bill already exists, and this is really just taking the next step to include the largest restaurants that generate 2,000 pounds of food scraps a week. Happy to address any questions, and thanks again for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. First, the committee would like to recognize Second Chair Representative William O'Brien as present. Welcome, Representative O'Brien.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Representative Pat Morgan.
Yeah, just for just for the information, are there specific haulers that come and get the food scraps, or is there a dedicated commercial haulers for food scraps? Is I guess what I'm asking.
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you. Currently, the compost plant is a for-profit business in the state of Rhode Island that is dedicated to collecting food scraps. They go around to dozens of restaurants and large institutions in the state, and they are certainly positioned to take on, to have more capacity to collect food scraps. But I also want to mention that there are other waste haulers, and certainly as more composting happens, more waste haulers can get into the game. And on a residential level, Roadside Revival, which is a small for-profit company started by two gentlemen from URI, They do curbside collections, so they're kind of bringing it all together for more additional capacity for collections.
And did you say that it is less expensive than regular trash disposal?
You know, when you look at the answer to that question is yes. For the very large accounts that generate over 2,000 pounds a week, the tipping fee from the haulers that collect food scraps as compared to the non-contract gate rate at the landfill, they're comparably about the same price. And we would expect that, you know, over time, that the rates of the landfill will slowly start to rise. So they're very comparable costs. Certainly for a private business, rates for waste hauling are a negotiable topic, so we can only really reference what the landfill is charging to make that comparison.
So do you know what they charge? You think it's the same or less, but not more?
Well, currently the non-contract gate rate at the landfill for solid waste is $115 per ton. The compost plant, for their very large accounts that they pick up, are charging about the same for a ton of material. They actually charge it by the gallon, but they're very comparable as of right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, go ahead. Mr. McLaughlin, you had another comment?
No, I was just agreeing and saying thank you.
Oh, okay. Any other questions for Mr. McLaughlin? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Very informative.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and we have some written testimony, actually quite a few in favor of it. We have one just in opposition, but we have written testimony on the website for Zero Waste Providence Compost Committee in favor of it. Again, the Conservation Law Foundation is in favor of it. The Nature Conservancy is in favor of it. The compost plant is in favor of it. East Bay Food Pantry is very strongly in favor of it. The Rhode Island Hospitality Association is in opposition of it. And you can read why they are on the website. And two more. Dave's Marketplace, Fresh Marketplace is in favor of it. And so is not the Clean Ocean Access, who we already heard from. Those are all in favor. And that's it, Chairman.
Great. Any further comments, Representative Ruggiero?
No, thank you very much for the
Okay, that
hearing and the
concludes the
questions. Great
hearing.
questions.
On Bill 5133.